Um, this is L. Jermaine Russell. I'm here with my boy Yannick. Welcome to an episode of Stocks and Squats. We're going to do a week in review, right?
Yes.
Yannick and I have been trading for at least 2 or 3 years now. And so we've kind of experienced the losses, we experienced the gains, and as novice traders, we want to be able to share like our experiences and really give you a sense of what a day in the market kind of is like. So, if anything, we'll go through, we'll go through some of the electric vehicles and retail and some vaccine news that really moved the market this week. Things that made the market actually go exponentially higher to almost record all-time highs on the Dow to where it possibly could be in the next week. All right. So I know Yannick has his ideas on where things might go.
Right. I try to. I try to, but it's a great experience and learn from our mistakes and also our wins, and just sharing information is a beautiful thing.
Facts. So I like and
Oh, that's never.
welcome to the call. So we're just getting started, and we will have a couple of things that we'll go over for the actual week. Electric vehicles being one of them. Like I said, retail, not just retail like cars or watches or anything like that, but also internet retail, and then vaccines. So there's some news with like you know. Moderna and
Yeah,
Regeneron
yeah,
this past weekend. So they had their little thing,
making
uh,
sure the president's good.
making sure that yeah, absolutely. So it seems like whatever efficacy news that comes out when it comes to these pharmaceuticals is going to move the market. But we'll go into that during the hour. Um, the biggest thing that I want to highlight here, or that we should highlight at all, is that we're not here to chase money. We're chasing the process, right? It's the process that really gets you to the form of knowing or recognizing what profitability really looks like. If you're just chasing the dollars, if you're just chasing the money, then it really is not going to work out for you, right? You will find that the market, it will be unsavory to you. You will look at it with the bitter taste because you were not following what your purpose was, right? What is your purpose of investing your money into the market? What is the long term? We're not doing this on this. Their trades might be on short term trades based on what the chart might say, but in the long run, what will your profits look like? And we will show you what the profits will look like if you just kind of just follow these steps and identifying when a stock can break out, right? Um, now, you want to say anything on that? Like,
All I can say is BLNK. That's what I
your
can say. We need
BLNK,
to get
that
we need to
is,
get right into it.
whoosh, that is the movement right there. That is the movement.
That's the winner for last week for me.
Facts. So, as always, I like to have some type of like clarity of how we're going to attack this material because it's a lot of material. Really can't jam pack it all in 1 hour, but at least like we can give you some type of direction. So when you're looking in during the week, I'm not saying for you to necessarily make a trade, but I am saying that you should, at least try to follow some objectives on how to select a stock that might go into your favor. And just maybe you just write it down, right? You don't have to actually execute anything. You can just write it, or you can make a paper trade, which we'll do an example towards the end, because I think that will definitely resonate a lot more when you see it in real when you see it, and even though it's virtual time, it's still some type of real time.
Real time.
So the objectives are like chart reading, right? Learning, what some of the technicals that you might hear, whether if you're on, CNBC, Fox News, Twitter, like you might hear, even sometimes I hear CNN talk about
Yeah.
moving averages and relative strength. So like depending on
That's some
whoever's
news.
talking about the stock, yeah,
Yeah.
you might hear some actual news.
Technicals, yeah,
Yep.
that indicate that the stock is gonna go either up or down or whatever. There's code words that they use.
Facts. So market sentiment, like how is the overall market feeling? Now with COVID news, there was a lot of anxiety and fear. But now that there's vaccine news to the coronavirus, there's a little hope and optimism. So it's really trying to see where the market might go without allowing your emotions to get involved, because your emotions can definitely dictate you on buying a stock early, like I did with Peloton like 2 or 3 weeks ago, where I bought it too soon, knowing that it was going to go up, but it still came back down. So I had to cut my losses. But it's going to go up, and we'll get into that too. And then, company news, like where, what is going on with some of these companies and the statistics, like what is the float? What's the float size of the actual company? What is the volume that is actively traded for that company on that day? Do they have dividends? Little things, maybe even reading this SEC filings, which is almost tantamount for the research that you'll have to do. And then construct a plan. Really, once you have all the information, you synthesize it and you said, this is what I want to do. Really use an OODA strategy. That's, observe. What is it? It's observe. Fuck, I can't remember. You observe everything, and then after you observe it, you are just kind of watching, and then you have some type of direction, and then you make an action. So it's like it's OODA. I don't remember what the other O is. Probably come back to me later on as we continue speaking. But I guarantee you follow this, you'll be fine, because many embody one in mind. We will go in a successful way. We have a route that will not only limit the risk that's involved, but also give us a chance to limit the amount of limit the not the downside, but give you more upside. Give you a chance to really like go up further, right? So with that being said, we will have a successful week. Continuing with the success, I want to show you the chart, right? I want you to see what all of this looks like. Right now, we're looking at GM. I'm going to go to that RO, right? And this is another thing, right? When you make a trade, you should always go back over it and just look, right? Don't just say, oh, wow, I earned $500 off of this trade, or I made, $50 off of this trade. You like whatever it is that you make, like just look at it and see what you did or didn't do, right? So here with AYRO, I want to zoom in, right? And I remember last week, which was right here on the 12th. Well, no, it wasn't the 12th, was it? Last week had to have been the I don't even know what last week was. What was it? The 13th?
Yeah, probably.
Well, either way, I was saying that this stock, it has to trade below. It has to stay above $4, right? The 16th, right? So it has to stay above $4. Why does it have to stay above $4? Is because right here you see that there's this like wall, right? Let's move this over just a little bit, all right? Let's just say that you didn't see that spike that happened, right? But you see these candlesticks right here. These candlesticks are strong green candlesticks. What I mentioned before about the stock trading above the 200 SMA, right? When we went over the Dow, I know that there was a lot going on with the Dow itself. So, because it's so many years of the Dow existing, but you have this one EV company, you're trying to, mimic what the Dow did to this one stock, but the moving averages work. You have the stock is trading above the 200 SMA. So this is a good indicator to say, hey, this stock might actually have some room to go up higher. It's hitting this wall at $4, not 100% sure why, but if you go back in the time, you go back over here, back in May of 2000, of this year, towards Memorial Day weekend, you see that there was a strong red candlestick, which it was pushing back the price. The price was coming back down. So it's like, well, what's going on at this $4 area, maybe 415 or 417, right? Maybe even 420 for us friendly 420 lovers, right? But whatever it is, you see that there was a little bit of support being formed right here before it broke down and the price started to come back below. Well, I know I didn't explain this before at the beginning, but there are also moving averages, right? We have this green line, which is the 5 exponential moving average. And then we have this teal line, which is the 20 simple moving average. So anytime when a stock starts trading above this 5 EMA, it's going to go higher. Like you see it already from back here in July. It was already trading above the 5 exponential moving average, and then it went higher, right? Yeah, it came back down, but you can get your gains on the day because what happened on this trade? Back then, you have a cross on the MACD. That cross in the MACD that shows that the momentum is no longer selling off. It's now turning positive with this cross, and that the relative strength is being overbought. That's what this red means. It means that we have sold, shares have been bought as much as they can have been bought. Like there's nothing else we can do. The only thing it can do is just come back down, right? So that's what we see back here, right? On in present day, that there was nothing but buying that was going to happen down here because all of the resistance that pushed back, or not the resistance, all of the support that was pushed back down here was formed. It's like a box between 293 and 415, 420. So that's where this like range bound, this stock was like extremely range bound between this price. So there was only one way that it had to go, right? And normally, yes, you might get the next day a small pullback, but as long as that small pullback closes above the 5 EMA, there's no reason to worry, because remember, if it's trading above the five exponential moving average, it's going to go higher, right? But now we get a uptick day, a green day. This pattern is probably one of the most powerful patterns in day trading or long-term investing that you will ever encounter. I think we've seen the experience for the past like 7 or 8 weeks. Like, and I don't know what took us so long.
It's 3 years. It took 3 years for that. Believe it or not.
It took us some time for 3 years to find like, hey, how about like, and this is why I had that piece, the puzzle pieces on the PowerPoint, because it's like pieces to the puzzle.
Yeah, it's 3 years for that. But that's a lot of money right there.
That is a lot of money.
That's engulfing soon to be. Yeah, it's a dope pattern.
So now we see next day,
of course,
right? Of course.
Rocket.
It goes up strong, right? And I think I even said that last week. It's going to where it could go.
It just happened, I think, close to midweek. That's what it was. Yeah. It was just slow grinding, and then it was gone.
Was there any news that like
it was just trickle down news from the EV sector, because GM was rocking still, BLNK. So those were just trickling down stocks in the same sector, and it hit Monday too. Very good. And it was gone.
And it was gone.
It was a lot of bread.
Which the next one, BLNK, which we will look at next, we will see how far it can go as long as it has been going. And then now we go into Friday with it was a gap up. You know, listen, I don't know. I think sometimes I'm crazy when I see these things, and I don't know.
Hello, testing.
Yeah, hey, Harvey, what's goody?
Hello, good sir. How you doing?
I'm all right. Nice talking with you.
How's everyone?
Good. All right.
Yes, sir. I'm surprised you gentlemen haven't looked at RC Moto yet. It's following a similar trend to IRO. That's how I like to call it, IRO.
Which one? What was it? RC Moto?
FUV, that's the ticker.
Oh, FUV,
Oh, yeah, I
yes.
remember FUV.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes, yes. That is
yeah.
another one.
That's
Absolutely.
right.
This one I did not get back in, just because, you know, there's so many. There's so many of them.
No, yeah, the EVs right now. You know what EVs remind me right now? They remind me of the shipping containers back in 2017.
Yes, 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 yes. You're talking about like what was it, GLBS?
It was Tops, Dry Shipping, and like 5 others or something.
Yes. And look at they're like dead man walking now.
Nothing.
You know, it was Tops. Yeah, look at this. Look at this pecking. This horrible, disgusting. Like
I don't know how they
you
haven't gotten delisted yet.
said say that again?
I don't know how they haven't gotten delisted yet.
I don't know either. I don't, and I doubt that they ever will, just because you know things gonna have to get shipped.
They had like what 50 different splits? God damn.
Yeah, hey, they have to stay in business some way somehow.
What business?
Facts. No facts. I have no idea. So it's like let's move on to another EV, because yes, there's FUV, there's SOLO, there's AYRO, you know, and I hope that you follow the pattern on AYRO, because you got the same thing on BLNK.
Okay, yeah.
So BLNK, which is an exponential runner, you know, Yannick is still in this trade, right?
Yeah.
You're still in this one too?
I'm still in this trade. I have a long call for December and another one for January 21 next year.
The ones that I saw that ran hand in hand was AYRO, FUV, SOLO, and Solo, and what else? And KNDI, KNDI.
Yes. Candy is
Four
another
were like
low floater.
Yeah. So those 4 were like running hand in hand, in my opinion.
Yeah, and they all will. Well, I think this one actually KNDI might still have some more upside, just because
right here.
Yeah, because of this pullback right here on the relative strength. There's still a lot of like bullish sentiment.
Separated this right there across.
I see support for FUV like around 14.5, maybe 15, and then the lowest 13. I don't see it going lower than that, just fundamentally on its own too.
So let's keep on going, because I know not everyone's going to know all of this stuff, and I want to make sure that they follow some type of like rule when it comes to like putting their money in anything, because yes, these stocks might be up high now, but just like how you mentioned, just like the shipping stocks, right? We know the environment is going to change the EVs, but we also know what happens when things are too frothy. Yeah. So when it gets too frothy, there has to be a reason for a stock to come back down. We don't know what the particular reason is, but we know that it has to come back down. So even with KNDI, right? I don't know the news on it, but what I do know is that it has this bullish engulfing candlestick pattern that's forming right here.
And no, yeah, KNDI just basically followed EVs. They really didn't have any major news. FUV, Solo, they had news. KNDI, they just followed the trend.
Sweet. So they were following the trend.
Yeah.
But you see that now with the moving averages, the 5 EMA and the 20 SMA, and then they cross right here too. Like you want to see that cross, right? You do want to see that cross, because if it crosses there, then more than likely it's going to cross on the MACD. And then once that's there, that confirms that there will be a higher, this price will go higher. Like that is the confirmation in itself. Now, how strong it will go up, that one I can never like predict. Like maybe Candy can go up to 16, but once you start seeing this bullish engulfing candlestick pattern, and it's trading above the 5 EMA, it's not overbought, because it wasn't overbought yet, right? So you had opportunity.
Like over here.
Facts. It was like back here, it was already overbought on 2 days.
Look where it went to before it pulled back into that.
Don't forget the volume too. They've been exploding recently since last week.
Say that again?
The volume has been exploding since last week, just following the whole EV sector.
Yeah, the whole EV sector has just been monstrous right now. Like there's no other way of really like explaining this, and this is probably like the best opportunity to get in. Yeah. Right. So now we know that NIU has earnings coming out this week. right? And if you go to Earnings Whispers, Earnings Whispers will show you where, like, what earnings are coming up. Actually, go to it on Twitter. If you go to it on Twitter, you'll actually see the like actual calendar.
Of like what, every single ticker or US or?
No, just the ones that are on earnings for that week. So like,
so every single ticker, doesn't matter, that has earning that week?
No, just the ones for earnings. Just the earnings one. So
no, yeah. So let's say there's like 30 different tickers. They'll show you every single one that has earnings that week.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes. Absolutely. So if you're not on, Twitter at all, you should probably create an account and start following some, some people on Twitter that are traders. I would say follow like some people from CNBC, like Nigerian. I think it's John Nigerian. He talks about options a lot.
Gotta watch Jim Cramer too. He's always pumping things.
Yeah, Jim Cramer. He pumped Workhorse this past week, so that was another thing. But when you come on Twitter, you'll see like what's going on for the week, right? So you follow Earnings Whispers. We see that for the week we have some we have some biotechs there, BioLine. I was reading up on some of their biotech. I'm not sure how much I like it. That Urban Outfitters is coming out, so we still have some more retail. That's
Wait, and I use tomorrow? I thought it was on the 27th.
The 22nd.
Oh, wow.
When the market closes. And what's another Wayfair? I think that's Wayfair. Yeah, that's Westinghouse. I thought Wayfair was supposed to come out this week. But Arrowhead, definitely pharmaceutical company. And look, I know like I'm not a big fan of pharmaceuticals right now, just because I feel that everyone's going to try to dump their money into a novel drug that we don't really know its long-term effects on. But I do know that things run in tandem. So if we look at how everything in the EV sector is running, we have a strong feeling that the same way is going to happen in the healthcare sector because of whatever efficacy percentage that Regeneron will give for its drug. Because I don't think they even came out with a percentage saying how strong it was, but Moderna and Pfizer did. Yeah. So even Eli Lilly, I believe they had came out with news that they're supposed to be doing. Yeah. So we have what just happened? I don't know what just happened. I have no idea.
So I remember when you were following Roku when it was like $60.
Oh, Roku! I am so mad I'm not in it right now.
You got out. I thought you kept buying that and buying it. Because you would always post about it. Like Roku was basically the Tesla to you. Like I love Tesla, and you would always post Roku.
Yeah, see, because I'm always a fan of the stocks that are lower in price. Just because the stock has, we have Tesla. Tesla is a great company, and we know the wave of EVs. We know where we're going to go. Yeah. But at the same time, we know that prices that are lower are going to run in sympathy to that company.
Yes, sir.
So that always highlights some things. But Zakia did bring up a great point about the actual drugs themselves, like how they're going to be stored and distributed throughout America. Like we don't know the actual process because of this lame duck presidency that's going on right now. We don't know anything. We have no idea what's going on, but we do know that there is a drug and that the people that are going to get it, those 40 million people, are going to be like healthcare workers, those who have compromised immune systems that are much older, 65 and older, that that you're not going to get like college age students that are going to get this drug first. You're not going to get people that are in their 30s and the 40s who are going to get this drug first. And that's not prime candidate. So yes, storing these drugs at a very stable temperature is going to keep the drug at a relatively low temperature, but how long will it take to figure out the distribution process?
Yeah. That's a week by week case depending on the administration coming in, as you could tell. So probably in January, close to January, going into the new year, there's probably some news where it's like you found out when GM a new battery, and use the BLNK and other batteries. It's just the same thing. We'll find out. There'll be some type of news. I say in January because unfortunately now there is no plan with this current administration.
See, there is no plan, and you know, and I know that Joe Biden is starting to select some of his, like you know, his cabinet members. So you know, we have to really take it day by day. But when we look at Pfizer right here as a prime example, you know, we have a stock that has traded above its 200 SMA and then came back down, right? So the minute it started to trade below its 200 SMA, when it goes up, when it does, after it does this bounce and starts to bounce towards the 200 SMA, there are times that it will get smacked down. And I mean smacked down, like you see it gets smacked down in price, because the 200 SMA is one of those bearish indicators that will prevent the stock to go bullish, that will prevent the stock from going up if the moving averages, are not above the 200 SMA, if the MACD hasn't shown more relative strength on the upside, meaning that the lines have crossed, showing more green here on bullish sentiment, and that the RSI is not overbought. Because once it's overbought here, 9 times out of 10, it's going to pull back. It has to pull back. Like it's just how long of this relative strength is going to last. We don't know how long it's going to last. We know before it didn't last too long, and it got smacked back down by the 20, but it will squeeze. And some people do like this play here. Some people do like from the bottoms of the depth going up on the 200 SMA. But the one thing I've realized, Johnny, that I probably never ever said before, is that anytime when you see a 200 SMA and it's on a decline, that means that the price is going to continue to decline. So if the stock, like let's say that this 200 SMA was on an incline, then the chance of the stock actually staying above the 200 SMA is
over here.
Yeah, like it did back over here. It was trading along the 200 SMA, and then it continued to incline, right? Because it found that strength on the MACD to go not only sideways, but the cross, and then to go up higher. And then, yes, it found the relative strength to be overbought.
But as soon as it goes overbought, it doesn't even really just as soon as it goes over that band, it just comes right back.
Yeah, well, the minute it goes over this band, it comes right back down.
It's not like how GM or BLNK, it's all the way up here.
Yeah. So yeah, let's go back to BLNK, because I know I don't want to like focus on, I'm trying to get through as many EVs, as many retail e-commerce, and as many healthcare stocks as possible. So I know there's so many like of these that it's going to be crazy.
Sir, but do you know what else is going to move with EV? Because I already know, but do you know?
That what else is going to move with EV?
Yeah, with EV.
The other than workhorse.
No, like that sector itself, not all the EVs.
The sector of EVs.
Or not sector, but like another stock that is not EV. Are you aware of which one is going to move?
That's not an EV that's going to move?
Yeah, with the EVs, but it's not an EV itself.
The only thing that I can think of, and it's probably more of like dealing with the environment, is the solar sector. So you have like solar, you have solar companies like RUN or TAN that have been, going up because of, things are moving into a different a different energy power type of a grid.
Will definitely pass after.
So when you see like a stock like this, when it's like, you have this still in bullish engulfing candlestick pattern, right? So when you have this bullish engulfing candle, it's the same thing. Like you will see this thing over and over again, right? So what you like on here, like let's say once again, we go back a couple of days and we start to see that, all right, this stock came out with earnings, right? We're really trying to synthesize, the details of this company. We see that some type of support has been formed, like around $15. All right, if we go back in time, we see, as you can tell, I had this line drawn in because I was expecting, you see where I bought in. I bought in here waiting for the spike because I'm thinking it's going to spike. It faked me out a couple of times. Fuck you. It's okay. I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter. But I knew that it could go, right? I knew I wasn't wrong on my thesis. So knowing that this is going in the direction that I know it can go, I was right. It's just when, right? And you only have to play what the market gives you, right? I can't tell you, 95% certainty that all of these stocks that I mentioned are going to go up because, I am not your tax broker or your consultant. So please, please consult a professional before you take my advice. That's my disclaimer. But I'm just saying that, when you look at this stock and you see that there's earnings that it came out with, and, it had a nice pop here. The moving averages are starting to, converge here. You're getting the 5 coming close to the 20. Everything is over the 200 SMA. All right. We have the MACD cross here. So we see that there's a change in momentum and that there's a bounce off the bottom, right? Meaning that, people that were buying down here after a big sell-off, after the big sell-off. So now once people are buying, what happens the very next day? Very next day, you get a strong green candlestick. Not only does this green candlestick encompass or engulf the previous red candlestick, which is something that you should probably write down. Green candlestick engulfs red candlestick, right? So once you see that back in time, that this red candlestick was engulfed by a green candlestick and it's testing previous resistance, then you say, okay, well, is this a common price, right? And people get flabbergasted on I don't know what price to pick, right? Or I don't know when to buy in. When you see that a cross happens on every time frame, and time frames, that's something I'll probably have to use for another day. But when you look at the time frames and you see that there's a cross, and on this cross of the MACD and the moving averages, that cross on the upside tells me I should buy. Right. So on the day, I should have bought on this day, right? Workhorse, buy at $19, $19.50, right? You're fine. You buy at $19.50, somewhere around here, right? You're okay, right? Because it had a strong move. So now we're going to go back, and when we go, zoom back in. Sorry about that. Then when we go back to that green day, the strong uptick, you see that it's crossed or it's above the 5 EMA. Next day, it's still trading above the 5 EMA. That's what you want. The moving averages, there are price points that are averages. So you want to be able to find a price in between the average, right? Because now we see that we have another bullish engulfing candlestick pattern that is formed here.
Seen that pattern before.
It's not overbought. The MACD has not shown a red pullback day. It might have had a red pullback day here on this volume, but the very next day, it continued to trade over the 5 EMA, right? So Workhorse is definitely one of those stocks that if you're not thinking about being in, then you should, it's cheap now. Yeah. It's cheap now because the next target is going to be $30.
Yeah. And that was the high, right?
And that was the previous high.
Yeah.
So yeah, it might find a lot of resistance at this $26 area, which, if you look in the past, what was this previous red candlestick? It was a candlestick that went from $30 down to $25. So it's like, okay, well, we know that there's some sellers here. We know that there's some sellers here back in September from that same like $29 area to $27 area. So, okay, we have some sellers back here. So maybe you might get some news that Workhorse is doing something. Aren't they doing something with GM?
I think it's with DHL because they're trying to do they're trying to partner with UPS and other post post offices because that's why they specialize with the trucks.
Yeah. So you're right. So
it is the trucks.
Yeah, the trucks, right? So I know they do that with. I know they're working with the trucks, but they're supposed to be like working with either Ford or GM. It was one of those two. Cause I know GM is becoming a, but either way, once you hear that the news is starting to move the stock in the right direction, like it sounds positive, the sentiment is ripe and juicy. You need to go with it, right? Don't fight it, right? So Workhorse is definitely going to be, a stock to watch tomorrow. Um, if you're not, thinking about it at all, I'll put in like another EV company, which was Green Power. Green Power, is a Vancouver company. Actually, if you look at the word Vancouver, it doesn't look like it says Vancouver. It looks like it says Vancouver. Doesn't I don't I don't know. It's just the way it spells. I don't know. But anyway, this is another one that deals with buses, right? So it deals with buses. It's in New York. The ABC Bus Company. I don't know why they call it ABC Bus. You already know it's bus, but it's whatever company. They bought I think 100 of these EV buses for schools. And for traveling around in the state, right? So you're going to see a lot of changes when it comes to these buses now in the state of New York. And then now also with Prop, I think it was like 82 or 89, something like that in California, they have this like clean energy bill that they also in a school district there bought some of this their electric buses in California. So that would be something to it's a play, but it's overbought. That's the only issue that I have with this.
Right there.
If it wasn't overbought, I would not be as scared, right? But I can't play this because it's overbought. But I wanted to show you something that even though like it's juicy, it has this bullish engulfing candlestick. It's near its previous all-time high. Look,
it probably could break a new high before the pullback.
And they were saying that this was very undervalued. So
it could create a new high.
It can create a new high.
Wait, I didn't notice. Is FUV overbought? I didn't check that chart.
Yeah, almost all of these stocks are overbought in the EV space. Like every last one of them. Like it's like Workhorse isn't. That's why harp more on that one as a key buy. But Solo is overbought, XPEV overbought, even though it's still showing some strong sentiment here. It's still overbought. I don't know when any of these are going to crash at all.
Have you checked HYLN? HYLN?
I forgot about them.
That's another one that wants to do with semi trucks and it's compressed natural gas, not NEV exactly, but green energy.
Nice. So, yeah, HYLN. So this is a SPAC, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. No, I don't have that on here. Yeah, like I see this. I can see it bounced off the 200, right? It did cross. It's consolidating, right? And this is a prime example of like how a typical stock pattern will go, right? When you see a EKG and you get the heartbeat, right? The heartbeat is, you get the PQRST, you get the influx of blood to the outflux, whatever. So anyway, like when you have the 200 SMA and the stock is trading above it, you'll get this like kind of like it's gonna go up, and then it just kind of like consolidates, and then it goes up, and then it consolidates, and then it comes down, right? This part of the wave is what you want to start to get noticeable with, like recognizing that there's a up, there's a sideways, and then there's a down, because this is how majority of the behavior of these stocks move. Their behavior is as such. When the stock goes up, it has done enough. It has made its all-time high. Once it's made its all-time high, typically, I don't know how many times.
All the time.
It will come back down.
How about all the time? For me.
All the time when a stock makes an all-time high, it will come back down.
And now that you were saying sideways, I saw freaking I knew that was a support after earnings, after it didn't crash there. NEO like a 40, 41. If you see on the hour candle, that's a long ass cup and handle, and it might hit $54 this week.
Or Neo?
No financial advice, but I see it hitting $54 this week. If you break it and you see a cup and handle, you could do daily or you could do the hourly. It seems that it wants to run.
You're right. I want to be in this. The only reason why I've taken my money out of this stock is because one, there was more bullish sentiment around LI, which also has the very same pattern. Two,
Yeah, they're basically LI. Well, at least right now, Xpeng broke because of the news, but LI and Xpeng for me, they're like little fraternal twins, and then Neo is like the big brother.
true. Like Neo has that sentiment. The only issue that I have, and I wish it didn't come up, right? Well, now the third issue, right? Now this is the third issue. The third issue that I have, other than the MACD showing that it's starting to pull back just a little bit, even though it can come up. If Andrew did not come out of left field and say, "Hey, this stock needs to be lower than where it's at. It's overvalued." He wants
$20.
If he didn't say he wants the price to come down, and like Andrew Left, if you don't know anyone who's on this call, if you don't know who Andrew Left is, he is a very big time bear. He's a short seller.
He literally looks like a bear.
He literally does look like a bear.
Ruin your whole shit with a drop.
He will say something that, I've been in the biotech sector doing this, and then anytime that he will come out on a stock that he feels that, like Moderna was one that he said, "Oh, this is a company that is too high and is overvalued, and that the CEO doesn't know what he's doing with his money because he keeps on selling shares." And then the stock crashed quite a couple of times. He did the same thing with Neo, or at least he tried, right?
It was Neo, Shopify, everything that he has shorted is up.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that he's right or wrong, but I'm saying that I don't like when that happens, because if you have someone who comes out in the news with so much like bearish activity or like, this words, it does put a jolt to the stock itself. People will start to look at it. It's like when he came out and he talked about what is it, NKLA. When he talked about it, I was like, wow, this man really, really like made it drop. Like I think it was over here when it came down, and I was like, ooh.
That was him too? I thought it was the whole scandal and whatnot.
No, the scam didn't come until like right around here, like September, August, September. That's when it was like really starting to take into effect. Because I thought it was going to go up, and then once I saw that it was starting to do this little nonsense, like with the red candlestick here, like it was this is like a hangman candlestick. Even though sometimes it can go up, this on this day was way too strong. Had to wait for the next day. Once this next day showed that it was going to cross below the 5 EMA, which it did, then I sold it and I said I have to get out because it's going to go lower, and that's what happens. So that's why that that 5 exponential EMA is very, very important. If you do not have a Thinkorswim platform or a Robinhood account, or I think even Stash has this, I would implore you to open up an account. Really takes nothing for them to verify who you are, right? You can create, I think with a Thinkorswim, you can create five accounts, right? Robinhood probably just one. E-Trade, you can even open up an E-Trade. I have an E-Trade account, right? So like you can, like, it doesn't really take much, but what it does take for you is to sit down and really try to understand the market and allow the indicators to move you, because move your stock, because once you have the indicators and you know that there's the news, the volume, and the stock chart itself, once you know those things and how in tandem they work, your potential is endless, right? You can really, really earn by just giving your stock a chance, or giving your money a chance
Don't forget the psychological trend too. When people start talking about everything.
When they start talking, a psychological
Trend.
Oh yeah, see now behavioral. So now you're talking about like behavioral investing and behavioral finance, where when that comes into play, it is a psychological game. Sometimes you're just gonna have to sit on your hands. Like WKHS, we're just gonna have to sit on our hands and wait for the market to tell us what direction is gonna go in. Because we're in on option contracts.
Yeah, I'm in it already. So,
can you go on whenever you can you go on Neo and do the 1 hour? I want to see that cup and handle real quick so I could show you. It took like a whole week so it could form.
Yeah,
I saw it when it started dropping and it formed the 2 cups. It was still short as hell. I knew it was gonna start running. If you do like 1 hour, yeah, right there, you see it? When it dropped, when it was 54, started dropping, started forming right there, and right there, starting to come back up. At least in my opinion. No, right around 54.
Oh, back there.
Yeah, right there. Those red candles that you just touched, yeah, that one, that's when I saw that it started to kind of do a cup and handle. Then again, it tried to do it again, and from there started going sideways and up. Because it kept going like 42, 44, 46, 44. You know, it kept going sideways, but slowly going back up.
And you see why it had to come down. It was too overbought.
right.
It had to. And across here on the hour chart, obviously, right? Because the big ass red candlestick. So once you have this happening and it's trading now below the 5 EMA, the price is going to come close to the 200 SMA, right? So I'm glad that you brought this up, Harvey, because it shows the downside risk on it, right? That now that it has done enough and it needs to take a breather, because that's what's going to happen. Stocks have to take a breather. You have to think of the market as a whole as a breathing, living organism. This thing breathe and live to use your money for its own benefit. So you want to get in on the cycle where the money can work for you, right? So when the market says, look, we're tired. We've been running. We've been running Carl Lewis running. We out. And we're going to pull back and going to pull back to the 200. Now, you could have taken your profits there. Here, no problem, right? Especially if you were in way back, days ago. There's nothing wrong with cash, ringing the register up, right? But now that it's up so high, it is trading sideways. It is trading sideways. It's trading above the 200 SMA. The only worry that it's not really a worry. I don't know where in between these two moving averages the price is going to go. And remember when I said when you're looking for a price to get in at, you're looking for in between the moving averages, because you want to limit your risk to the downside to the 200 SMA, because you see this is damn near a $5 drop. If somehow, some way, Trump wakes up and tweets that America would never ever go into the Paris Agreement Accords for, and he figures out something, and then, the whole EV sector is shot, right? So we have to this is where you have to really curb on that downside. So I'm not currently in this. I'm in LI, and which typically has the same, almost the same is only because of, like I said, sentiment.
Yeah, you see, look at that cup and handle.
Yeah, it's the same cup and handle, but I still have the same worries on LI, because one, instead of selling it like I could have, during the lunch hour, I was I wanted to come up to this $41.70 all-time high, just like with Neo, right? And this is where, patience and greed don't really mix. They don't intersect too well.
Sir, I waited 2 weeks for those contracts. They were like $8 each, and I never sold when it was $54. I don't know why.
Yeah, like I was saying, hey, sell it.
Sir, I bought those contracts at 183. Please explain.
Jesus. Collect your profit, buy back on go back.
Yeah, that's my problem. I get greedy, and then when I want to take profits, I take it, and then it goes up. It's like I do the opposite.
I did that. I did that. Yeah, I took my profits.
That was last week.
I was like, I could have made so much more.
Yeah,
And I just like it, whatever.
and then when you think, oh, I could make more, it goes down. Definitely.
Yeah, like when you sit on
Nice.
your hands, that's when your stock really moves, right? But when you're sitting there watching it, it's like always going to go down. And like with this strategy, like literally with this strategy, it really is you getting in on the lowest part of the buy of the whatever stock that you're trying to buy in. It's really low risk, and you just allow the momentum, the volume to move the price up.
How
And
long do you usually put your options? I do like 2 to 3 weeks.
I usually do weekly. I usually do weekly options, and I was say, and I know. Let me go to my notes because sometimes I don't know the actual chart for them. So, like for instance, I'm in Workhorse now,
Right.
so I'll pull up the actual chart for Workhorse so you can see it. All right, we can analyze this one. I know I did say this was going to be about an hour. It's 8:02. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. So if you have to go, I totally get it. I totally understand. I will stay on for at least another 15, 20 minutes just to, go over what else that we might see for the market. Because I think what we planned, we could even get through all of it, right? Because there's so much. So
sectors. You know
yeah.
what I mean? If advice is go into the sectors and see within the sectors what are moving. Certain things are moving parallel to each other. You know.
So like when you see the sector, you see whatever is in the industry and how the industry is all moving. It's all sympathy at that point.
Yeah. Trickle down, I call it. Definitely.
So like on Workhorse, I got in. I'm in my Robinhood account, so that's why you don't see the actual arrows on here.
Oh, yeah.
But I got in at $1.55 on the $24.50 calls, right? So this expires this upcoming week on the 27th.
So this the 35 you said or no?
No, 24.5. Yeah. So I bought in at $1.55, and right now it's at $2.18. So typically, like with Workhorse, how I would ever synthesize a chart is typically I want to see the price chart and I want to see the options chart together, right? Because when you look at the options chart, you're going to get this whole option chain of different contracts, right? And the contracts will, they're going out to January. So like when you have January, well, 2023 actually, like come to think of it. So when you have all these contracts, you are betting against or for a price, to go in your favor. So like for instance, I picked the November 24/5 calls, and I look to first see what the volume is like, because you don't want to trade a stock that has no volume. A stock that has no volume is horrible.
Trust me, I know Sohu and LLY.
Yeah.
No volume.
No, it doesn't help.
Contract died out for 2 days. There was no movement.
Because it's just sitting there.
It just sat there.
Yeah, sometimes the contracts won't go with the stock since people are putting different types of premiums.
The APO was at AHC that was like that. There was a stock that we got into, and it's moving in shares, but the price point between 18 cents and 20 cents was just right there. It barely moved.
I don't know. I can't remember. There was
RVP. No, it wasn't that.
There wasn't RVP. There was a stock that was just, you'll get it where like, you'll have your option prices and the option price doesn't really move. So once we know that we're going to have a stock that's going to ride higher, and we also know that we have the volume on the options contract, we have what was the other part? We have the prices that were nice for us, the delta, the gamma, theta. We also have the moving averages that have crossed from before. The stock has now traded above the 5 EMA. It crossed across on the MACD, right? And we see that there's a bounce off the RSI. there's a bullish engulfing candlestick. These are all the pieces that you have to put together in order to see the stock to go into the bullish direction that you want it to go, which is to go higher, right? So like I said, I put the price chart and the options chart side by side so I can see what is where the potential price point might be. Now, as I continue to further analyze this, and we're going into Monday, I see that, hey, maybe this stock might want to fill in this gap during the pre-market, right? Maybe it might want to do that because now we see that, in the after hours, which was on Friday, because the stocks do trade when the market closes, we see that this last red candlestick, the 7 p.m. hour, it started to trade right at the 5 EMA. So with that being said, and the moving momentum is kind of slowing down, and then the RSI is kind of not overbought, right? I'm bearing on the downside that maybe it can test $24.33 in the pre-market, right? Now, this is where I said when you're coming up with your plan, when you want to have a plan on how you're going to, anticipate yourself heading into the next day. So I'm saying, okay, pre-market, there's nothing I could do until 9:30 because I have options. Right. So when 9:30 comes, I'll wait and see. And if it bounces off this 24 cent area, $24 area, no, like, yeah, you might want to buy the dip, but at the same time, let's see what it looks like on the minute chart, right? So on the minute chart, we see
it's already down under the 200.
Right, it's already below the 200, right? But also what happens oftentimes is when a stock is trading below the 200 SMA, you need to make sure that you also confirm the MACD and you also confirm your RSI, because just because it's trading below the 200 SMA does not mean with 100% certainty that it's going to go extremely lower. It really depends upon how low the relative strength is and how low the MACD is. If those two are extremely low, meaning that now that the RSI is oversold, showing a lot of blue down here, not red up here, and the MACD is trading below this x-axis right here, that means then, yeah, it's going to go a lot lower. But let's say that we know where support is on the minute chart. So let's move this back out some, right? So, oops, that's why. I'm like, what is going on? And I know it's 8:11, so trying to be mindful of everybody's time here. But we see that there might have been a time during Friday where it tested this 25-20 cent area. So, all right, that kind of held support because that support was previous resistance. The price broke above that 25-20 cent area. So let's go back further in time, right? Right now we see it's at 25.41. But if we go further back, let's see if there's any other price points where 25.20 is being held. And right now we just see that the prices continue to go up higher. So what do we have to do? We have to go back further, right? So we're looking for 25.20 20 cents. So we see somewhere around here, that's actually about 24.83. No, all right, right here we have 25.20. We have 25.20 back here. We have 25.20 back here. We have 25.20 back here. So if we know that 25.20 has been held in the past, we can allow this to at least test 25.20 before we think about exiting the trade, right? Because if it starts to now where on the hour chart that 25.20 is no longer held and it comes down to this 24.23 and you start to see crosses on the moving averages and on the MACD, then more than likely it's going to come closer to the 200 SMA. more than likely. Now, with all the momentum that this stock has been going through, the chances that it will go all the way down to $20, the 20 SMA, is highly unlikely. But it can happen. So you always caution on the downside. So I use that hour chart as a reminder of where on the downside a stock can go, because particularly I'm buying on the minute chart. I'm buying on the minute chart. So once I get in on the minute chart at like 25.20, because 25.20 held, then I'm comparing it to the other time frames. I'm comparing it to the hour, where I was in the hour. Okay, 25.20 held. And now comparing it to the day. Okay, on the day chart, it's higher, it's holding, it has this bullish engulfing candlestick. The momentum is still strong. There really is no reason why I should sell this, only unless there's some news that indicates that this is only going to decline. Because remember, you know, I got caught back over here where it was a fake out breakout, right?
Yeah.
Happened back over here again, fake out breakout. Fake out breakout. Even though it pulled back, it still broke out, but you thought what was going to happen on this day. It didn't happen.
Nope.
Right? There was still some strength. Right? So, you know, and then even though it found the strength, it still found the bullish,
right there. That's it.
Right there and right there.
That's what you know, and it hits the high.
Yeah. So I still curb on caution downside. More than likely, Yannick and I are going to be holding on to this because, you know, throughout the week, even though I have a weekly contract, I still believe that it can go to higher into December.
It can.
Yeah, through December.
And then again, even with my call options, I do have a long call on certain options, but I actually do that. All right, so let's say you buy it weekly, right? I do that as well. But there's certain calls like BLNK. I bought a weekly contract, and I got a contract. I found a contract in January where the share price was at a certain price, but the break-even price was probably $1 or $2 just away from the share price. I survived the contract, which I found out because the premium on that contract and the expiration date of the contract. So if I've held the contract, let's say this is a stock where they believed it could go from within the next year a $10 high or $15 high.
Right.
The value of that contract, it's, you know, running that premium. And I found out in that contract specifically in January 21, the volume was 6,000.
Oh wow!
The open interest was double that. That's a valuable contract. That means the stock, they believe in the stock that it can ride up throughout the whole year.
And that was for Workhorse, right?
That was for BLNK and Workhorse.
So
but I'm just letting you know that indication, even if people are buying contracts that are not weekly, but also for next year, the value of getting it now, they see that stock that being valuable where it's something to hold on to, you know. So
no, you're right. And as I want to see, you know, the contract as well, like, you know,
January 21.
right. So we can bring it to, you know,
right now.
We could to January 21. Oh, that's 22 actually.
January 21 BLNK.
Oh, Workhorse or?
No, it's on Workhorse. No,
is it January 15th, right?
Yeah, January 15th. But the one with 6,000 was BLNK. That volatility.
Yeah, there's a lot of volume here out of the money, and some in the money. For this is $5. This is a $5 call, not $5 call. Bid. The bid is $5. It's a call of 25. So now this is where, like, you know, you start to think about like your prices and where, like, what do you think the price is worth, right? So I'll go to the options, back to the options chart again. There's a couple of indicators. There's a couple of indicators that pop up when it comes to options that people are probably not really like familiar with. And like one of them is theoretic price. The theoretical price is where people believe is a reasonable price for this stock, right? Or for a contract of this stock. So for Workhorse on the 24/5 calls that expire this Friday, people believe that the contract price is a reasonable price at $2.76. Right now it's at $2.18. So I would like, when you look at options, it is a price of the underlying value of the stock, meaning that the value of the stock is going to go higher because the underlying value that has a lot of energy behind it, because it's a theoretical price that suggests that the stock price should be higher for the contract, will cause a momentum burst in Workhorse, because Workhorse is strong. The contracts for the week on Workhorse is strong. The candlestick is strong, and the price point that they believe, that the market believes is a reasonable price, is high. So if this contract goes above $3 tomorrow, I wouldn't be surprised, because that means that the stock price is going to go close, if not break its all-time high at $31 a share.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why I'm not really like too scared, because it's like really putting all the pieces of the puzzle together and saying, okay, well, this price point for the contract, it's not that expensive. And if people thinking on the week, it can go up higher.
Yes.
They believe that this price is value higher, then it's going to go higher.
And again, this is actually.
Speaking of fear, sir, I'm not in it. It just looks really scary. Look at the daily chart on JKS. That looks like a mean double top.
Yeah. Solar.
Yes, sir.
Yes, solar. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that looks like, so that's a mean double top. That looks scary. I think you'll hit like 50, 52 or something, and then bounce back. But I would not buy now.
well, this one you have what's this? I need to know some of the statistics. I know I have it on here. Where are you? Solar. Here you are. You are, what is it, 44,000. Your float size is 44,000 and traded for, I said 44,000, 44 million. Volume size is 4.4 million on the day. So like, to me, that's like almost considered a low float. Not really, because low floats is technically like 20 million and below, maybe even 10 mil, 15 million. But this is like relatively close. That's why you had this exponential spike here, because of the volume. We see these bullish candlesticks here, right? Even though it tried to pull back, it couldn't. It couldn't resist but to go up higher. So now it went up higher. It's going to trade sideways. We mentioned the sideways before. If I were to ever buy this, I would wait for the MACD to cross.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think you'll hit like 54 or something.
You think it's going to go down to 54?
That's what it looks like, because it looks like a double top and also a descending triangle if you chart it.
Yeah, no, you might be right about that. Shoot, yeah, because I don't see.
Or not a descending triangle, might be like a wedge, but a bearish wedge. It might break below.
Like I see some resistance here at $68. Yeah, but I still couldn't. I couldn't play that. Like if I were to play anything in the energy as far as low float is concerned, it will be SPI. SPI is my low float stock, pretty much of the week. I want to think of this like AYRO and SOLO. This is an energy sector stock. What do they do again? They do. I have to go back to my notes. like oh, that's right. They had some convertible shares. They have some convertible shares to $26 a share. Currently trading at $9 a share. I don't know how the promissory note is going to look when this actually happens, but I noticed that the whole energy sector started to decline towards the end of the day. So, and that was on Friday. So, like,
keep going. Sorry.
No, I'm not 100% sure, but I do feel rather confident in the trade, mainly because the momentum has shifted. It's a low float. and it's a recent spiker. And this is the challenge with trying to identify recent spikers, is like when we never know when it's going to occur.
Yeah.
Is that a whole candle? Jesus Christ.
Right. You see it went up to $48, right? So this is another reason why I was like, well, if these shares get converted to $26, it's going to go up. It's going to
go up again.
But at the same time, if it goes up, I believe that it will go up during the pre-market hours and then sell off, because this is what happened, right? We're gonna let's go to that day actually, so you can kind of see that candlestick. All right, so we tend to get stocks that like to trade in the after hours or the pre-market, and it doesn't really have any type of value to us, like, because we're like, well, we're in it in the pre-market or after hours, and it's kind of messed up that now I can't do anything. But you know, but you always can trade the shares, but sometimes, you know, the options are much juicier. So like,
Yeah.
so you see that this exponential run right here, right? Especially after this bullish engulfing candlestick, right? Came out with some news. I don't really care right now. But either way, it moved up higher during this pre-market time, and then it came back down the minute the market opened, right?
And it happened before red.
Right.
Then red.
That was all pre-market.
That was all pre-market. So pre-market here, the market opens at 9:30, but there's a sell-off, Chief. So we're not so it's kind of hard to really deal with that, and we know why, because it was already overbought in the after hours, well, when the market was closed. So when things like that happen, it's usually just, you know, when you see it on the hour chart that it's overbought, sometimes it's easier just to get out. You're like, you know what, you know, even though, you know, it's overbought and it might have some more room to run, let me just get my profits now. I'll wait for it to come back, then get back in.
Yeah, and I was confused a little bit. Fundamentally, for FUV, they're finalizing a $13 a share offering for $15 million. And fundamentally, would that be the support because someone is buying that much at that price, or
what price did they mention?
They offer $15, $15 million worth of shares at $13.
$13.
At $13, that it sounds like they're selling shares.
Yeah, they're selling it to an institutional investor to ramp up production. But my question is, like, what would that mean? Would that mean the support? Because I get confused. Sometimes offerings are bad, then they're good.
Like, well, all right. So I see, yeah, launches $15 million registered direct offering. So like, just hearing what you said, I didn't even know the news. It just sounded like they were selling shares. So they're selling it for like $13. Oh, you said 15 million?
Yeah.
15 million. So now what we do is we look at their market cap, right? So let's what is their market cap actually?
They're like 500. No, they're like 400, 500 million.
Move out the way. You said 400. How much?
It's like 530 million, close to that. No, I'm sorry. That's so low. At 380 million.
380 million. So you're going to subtract that 380 million from 15 million. That'll give you what, 365 million. And now you want to like start subtracting the amount of shares that they're well, no, since they're selling shares, yeah, they're adding shares on to their float. So now you want to take the new amount of shares that they have and divide that as your denominator from your new numerator, which is the new market cap at 365 million. So that will give you the price per share of the stock after the direct listing. But, you know, sometimes with direct listings, you'll have a sell-off, and then after the sell-off is done, the stock will run up again. It will do like a V shape just because the momentum is strong in the sector, or the news is just strong for that particular stock in general. At least, you know, that's my understanding. And I'm not saying I'm 100% right at all. Like I everything I could be saying right now could be exponentially wrong. But at least, you know, whatever it is I'll put my money in, I want to always have some downside, right? I want to make sure that I'm following my rules or my notes. Like, what do I have as, you know, what are my directions for some of these stocks, right? Like, what am I thinking that it's going to do or go? You know, so I'll write down my notes and make sure that my notes, you can give me an idea of where it's going to go, or, you know, what my thoughts might be. And if I'm wrong, I still say I'm wrong. All right. I wasn't wrong for the past like 2 or 3 weeks now. So like, so I'm trying to figure this out. Maybe I'm delusional and I'm living in this alternate world where, you know, I'm saying all these stocks are just going to go up, and you just buy the up stocks. Just buy the up stocks. That's my lesson. Buy the stocks that are going up.
And I will say this: last week, we were in this sector early before everybody else was.
Yes.
And midweek, everyone started to talk about EVs when you're already winning in EVs the week before.
Facts.
So
facts.
You know, right now, this week, we still got the green communications and the green energy, EVs. Yeah, we're jumping in things early, seeing them early, and you want to get the most out of them when you can.
Like RUN is a stock I'm in. You know, getting in early, like what Yannick said. You know, I got in this early, so we'll see what happens with that. Got in the snap. We see the only thing with snap is that it did not cross on the MACD. So I want to see it cross on the MACD for it to go higher, to test the 45. You know, and this is the precious thing about this one. Even though it did not cross on the MACD, and even though Snap has not really fully monetized its platform, the biggest thing that this stock could really ever have on its side right now is that it's so close, $1.40 away from breaking an all-time high.
Mm-hmm.
That is, and they had positive earnings.
Yep.
So, you know, that in itself, you know, you start lining things up and you realize that you have, you know, a potential winner. I'm not guaranteeing profits. I'm not saying that this is going to guarantee to go higher. I'm just saying that there are things that are lining up in the direction for it to go higher.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get too far off of, you know, I think we did go a lot in the EV, probably a little bit deeper. We didn't go into pharmaceuticals that I was hoping to go in a little bit more, particularly talking about the CRISPR DNA. It's 8:30 right now.
We ran it up a little.
Yeah, we ran out a little bit longer. You know, I get a little tired, but I will say that there are a couple of key things that we did highlight today, right? And next time when we do this, next Sunday, what we'll do is we'll go to the on-demand chart. We'll go to the on-demand chart and pick a stock and test the strategy in real time. I won't even know. You can tell me a stock, whatever, you can choose whatever you want, and then we'll go and we'll actually apply these rules and see the upside that can happen after days of holding a stock, right?